Ladies and gentlemen, success is not something you chase. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And the person you become is shaped by what you repeatedly say, think, and do. That's why I want to talk to you about something simple, but powerful. Speak 5 lines to yourself every morning, not to impress anyone, not to post online, not to convince the world, but to build the architect within you. Your morning is the foundation of your day. And if you don't design your mornings, life will design them for you. Here are the 5 lines. First line, today I take full responsibility for my life. If you want your life to change, you must take responsibility. Not blame your parents, not blame the economy, not blame your past. The day you say, it's on me, is the day your power returns. Responsibility is not a burden. It is a privilege. It means you now control the direction. Second line, I will grow. No matter what happens today, some days you win, some days you learn. But every day you grow. Growth is not automatic. It is intentional. Decide that whatever happens today, good news or bad news, you will use it as fuel. Growth is the only guarantee of a better future. Third line, I will act, even when I don't feel like it. Your feelings are wonderful servants, but terrible masters. If you only act when you feel motivated, you will live an average life. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when the mood is missing. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence. Fourth line, I am becoming more valuable every single day. Income rarely exceeds personal development. If you want more income, become more valuable, read more, learn more, practice more. Improve your skills. The marketplace pays for value, not wishes. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Fifth line, I will finish what I start. The graveyard of dreams is filled with unfinished projects. Ideas are common. Execution is rare. Promise yourself that you will not be the person who starts strong and fades away. Consistency beats intensity. Small daily progress builds extraordinary results. Now let me tell you something important. These 5 lines are not magic words. They are commitments. And commitment is what separates the interested from the committed. Interested people do what is convenient. Committed people do whatever it takes. Your future is hidden in your daily routine. Speak these lines long enough, and you begin to believe them. Believe them long enough, and you begin to act on them. Act on them long enough, and your life begins to change. Success is simple, not easy, but simple. 5 lines, 5 commitments. Every morning, design your mind before the world designs it for you. Because if you don't speak to yourself, the world will, and it may not tell you the truth. If there is one place where all progress begins, it is with personal responsibility. You cannot hire someone to take responsibility for your life. You cannot delegate it to your circumstances. You cannot postpone it until things become easier. The day you accept full responsibility is the day your life begins to change direction. Now let me tell you something important. Responsibility is not about blame. It is about power. Blame makes you weak. Responsibility makes you strong. When you blame the economy, you give the economy control over your future. When you blame your past, you give your past permission to dictate your tomorrow. But when you say, it's on me, something shifts inside you. You move from being a passenger to becoming the driver. I used to think success was about finding the right opportunity. Then I learned it was about becoming the right person. And becoming the right person begins with responsibility. You are responsible for your income. You are responsible for your health. You are responsible for your attitude. You are responsible for your education. Now, that may sound heavy, but it is actually liberating. Because if it's your fault, it's also your opportunity. You see, most people are waiting for something external to change. They're waiting for better weather, better leadership, better luck. But successful people don't wait for conditions to improve. They improve themselves. And that shift begins with a simple declaration. I am responsible. When you wake up in the morning and say, today I take full responsibility for my life, you are programming your mind for leadership. You are reminding yourself that your choices matter. And life is nothing more than a series of choices multiplied by time. Your income is usually a reflection of your philosophy. Your results are often a reflection of your habits. And your habits are shaped by your decisions. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what can I do to improve this? That question alone will change your trajectory. Responsibility also means you stop making excuses. Excuses are the nails that build the house of failure. We all have reasons. We all have stories, but reasons don't produce results. Results come from action, and action comes from ownership. Let me give you a simple formula. If you don't like where you are, change what you're doing. If you don't like your results, improve your skills. If you don't like your income, increase your value. But don't blame the marketplace. The marketplace pays for value. Personal responsibility is the beginning of maturity. A child says, it's not my fault. An adult says, I'll handle it. Growth happens when you move from complaint to commitment. Now, here's something powerful. You cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. And direction is determined by decisions. When you take responsibility, you stop drifting. You start steering. Drifting is easy. Steering takes effort. But steering leads somewhere. You must also understand that responsibility includes your attitude. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And your response determines your future. Two people can face the same difficulty. One becomes bitter. The other becomes better. The difference is not the circumstance. It's the decision. When you take responsibility, you stop asking life for fairness and start asking yourself for discipline. You stop hoping for easier problems and start building stronger skills. You stop wishing for fewer challenges and start developing greater capacity. That's powerful. Responsibility also builds confidence. Why? Because every time you handle something, instead of avoiding it, you grow stronger. Confidence is not built by avoiding responsibility. It is built by embracing it. And here is a truth you must remember. You are not responsible for the wind, but you are responsible for the set of your sail. The wind will blow. The economy will shift. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will change. But how you adjust your sail, that's on you. Successful people are not people without problems. They are people who decided to respond differently. They decided to take ownership of their growth, their habits, their time. Time is another responsibility. We all get 24 hours. The difference is not in the hours, it's in how we use them. If you waste time, that's a decision. If you invest time in learning, that's a decision. Responsibility means you stop saying, I don't have time, and start saying, it's not a priority. That shift changes everything. Taking responsibility also means evaluating yourself honestly. You can't improve what you won't confront. Ask yourself, where am I weak? Where am I inconsistent? Where am I settling? These are not questions to discourage you. They are questions to develop you. The day you accept full responsibility, you stop being a victim of your history and start becoming the architect of your destiny. And here's the exciting part. When you change, everything changes. When you grow, your opportunities grow. When you become more disciplined, your results become more predictable. It starts with you. It always starts with you. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, before the world speaks to you, speak to yourself. Say it with conviction. Today I take full responsibility for my life. Say it until it moves from words to belief. Say it until it shapes your actions. Say it until it becomes your identity. Because the greatest gift you can give yourself is ownership. Ownership of your choices. Ownership of your growth. Ownership of your future. And once you own it, you can improve it. That's where real power begins. One of the most powerful commitments you can make each morning is this: I will grow no matter what happens today. That single decision separates those who drift through life from those who design it. Growth is not automatic. Aging is automatic. Growth is intentional. If you don't make a plan for growth, you will make a plan for stagnation. And stagnation is dangerous because life does not stand still. The marketplace doesn't stand still. Your industry doesn't stand still. Skills either improve or they become obsolete. You are either growing or you are falling behind. There is no neutral. Now here is something to understand. Growth is not about perfection. It is about progress. Small progress made daily becomes massive progress over time. A book a month becomes 12 books a year. An hour of practice a day becomes 365 hours of refinement. Tiny disciplines repeated consistently create extraordinary results. The key is to decide that every experience will serve you. Some days you win. Some days you learn. But if you are committed to growth, you never lose. Even setbacks become classrooms. Even disappointments become teachers. The question is not, why did this happen to me? The better question is, what is this trying to teach me? When you adopt that mindset, nothing is wasted. I've often said that your income rarely exceeds your personal development. If you want more income, become more valuable. If you want better opportunities, become more skilled. If you want greater influence, become wiser. Success is not pursued. It is attracted by the person you become. That's why growth is your responsibility. Don't wait for your company to train you. Don't wait for your friends to inspire you. Take charge of your own development. Read books. Listen to ideas. Seek mentors. Attend seminars. Keep a journal. Invest in yourself. Because the most valuable asset you will ever own is you. Think about it this way. If someone offered you $1 million for your car, you might consider it. But if someone offered you $1 million for your ability to think, to learn, to create, that's irreplaceable. Your mind is your fortune, and growth sharpens it. Another important truth: growth stretches you. And stretching can be uncomfortable. When you grow, you feel awkward, you feel challenged, you feel uncertain. But that discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is evidence of expansion. Most people avoid discomfort, and therefore they avoid growth. They stay where it's safe. They repeat what's familiar. They protect their ego instead of developing their potential. But successful people understand that temporary discomfort leads to permanent improvement. Growth also requires humility. You must be willing to admit that you don't know everything. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you stop progressing. Stay teachable. Stay curious. Stay hungry. A powerful question to ask yourself daily is, what did I learn today? If you can answer that question every evening, you are moving forward. Growth does not have to be dramatic. It simply has to be consistent. You see, life rewards the learner. The person who studies communication becomes a better communicator. The person who studies finance becomes better with money. The person who studies leadership becomes more influential. Skills are not gifts, they are cultivated. And here's something exciting: you can reinvent yourself. You are not trapped by yesterday's version of you. You can decide to become more disciplined. You can decide to become more knowledgeable. You can decide to become more patient. Growth is available to anyone who chooses it, but it must be deliberate. Don't spend major time on minor things. Don't let entertainment consume the hours meant for education. If you invest 5 years in serious, consistent personal development, your life can look completely different. Remember this: the same person doing the same things will produce the same results. If you want new results, you must become a new person. That doesn't mean changing who you are at your core. It means expanding your abilities, strengthening your character, refining your habits. And growth is not only professional, it's personal. Grow in your attitude, grow in your gratitude, discipline, grow in your kindness. A strong character supports lasting success. Now, growth compounds just like money. Early improvements may seem small, but over time, the gap between someone who is committed to growth and someone who is not becomes enormous. 5 years from now, the difference will be obvious. 10 years from now, it will be dramatic. The future you meet will be shaped by the growth you pursue today. That's why speaking this commitment every morning is powerful. I will grow no matter what happens today. If the day goes smoothly, you grow through progress. If the day goes poorly, you grow through lessons. Either way, you win. Growth also builds confidence. When you know you are improving, you carry yourself differently, you speak differently, you decide differently. Confidence is not loud, it is steady. And it comes from knowing you are becoming better. Let me leave you with this thought. Don't wish for life to be easier, wish for yourself to be better. Don't wish for fewer challenges, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less responsibility, wish for greater capacity. If you commit to lifelong growth, you will never become obsolete. You will never become irrelevant. You will continually increase your value. And when your value increases, your opportunities increase. When your opportunities increase, your income can increase. When your income increases, your choices expand. It all begins with a simple decision made daily. Grow. Grow in knowledge. Grow in discipline. Grow in wisdom. Grow in character. Because the person you become is the greatest project you will ever work on. And that project is worth your best effort. Every single day. One of the greatest battles you will ever fight is the battle between what you feel and what you know you should do. And the winners in life are not the ones who feel motivated every day. They are the ones who act in spite of how they feel. Feelings are powerful, but they are temporary. They rise and fall like the tide. If you build your life on emotion, your results will rise and fall with it. That's why discipline is far more valuable than motivation. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. You won't always feel like waking up early. You won't always feel like reading the book. You won't always feel like making the extra call, finishing the project, going to the gym, or improving your skills. But if you only act when you feel inspired, you will live a life of inconsistency. And inconsistency is expensive. Success is not built in dramatic moments of inspiration. It is built in quiet moments of discipline. It is built when you say, I will do it anyway. Anyway is a powerful word. I don't feel like it, but I'll do it anyway. I'm tired, but I'll do it anyway. It's inconvenient, but I'll do it anyway. That decision separates the amateur from the professional. Amateurs wait for the right mood. Professionals create the right habits. You see, feelings are influenced by many things: sleep, weather, stress, other people's opinions. But your commitment should not be influenced by those things. Your commitment must be stronger than your emotions. Now, let me explain something important. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is structure. It is self-respect in action. When you follow through on your commitments, you are telling yourself, my word matters. And every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. On the other hand, every time you break a promise to yourself, your confidence weakens. That's why small daily disciplines are so powerful. They build internal strength. And internal strength produces external results. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. Why? Because they rely on bursts of motivation instead of steady discipline. But steady discipline compounds. If you improve just a little each day, if you act even when you don't feel like it, the results accumulate. A workout skipped occasionally may not seem like much. A book unread may not seem significant. A call not made may seem minor. But repeated over months and years, those small decisions shape your destiny. Discipline closes the gap between intention and accomplishment. Many people have good intentions. They want to be healthier. They want to earn more. They want to build better relationships. But intention without action is simply wishful thinking. Action is the bridge, and action must become a habit. Now here's a truth that may challenge you. You must learn to govern yourself. If you do not discipline yourself, the world will do it for you. and the world's discipline is far more painful. Self-discipline gives you freedom. It gives you options. It gives you control. Lack of discipline gives you regret. Regret is heavy. Discipline is lighter. It is far easier to wake up an hour earlier than to live with years of frustration. It is far easier to practice daily than to face the pain of missed opportunity. The key is to reduce the power of your moods. When you say, I will act even when I don't feel like it, you are training your mind to obey your decisions, not your emotions. Your mind is a powerful servant, but a dangerous master. You must direct it. One way to strengthen discipline is to focus on identity. Instead of saying, I'm trying to work out, say, I am becoming a disciplined person. Instead of saying, I'm trying to be consistent, say, I am someone who follows through. Identity drives behavior. If you see yourself as disciplined, you will act accordingly. And that identity is formed by repeated action, especially when it's difficult. Remember this, the pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. Short-term discomfort leads to long-term reward. Short-term comfort often leads to long-term disappointment. The most successful people you admire are not necessarily more talented than you. Often, they are simply more disciplined. They made the call when they didn't feel like it. They studied when they were tired. They practiced when others were relaxing. That consistency created momentum. Momentum is powerful. Once you build it, action becomes easier. But it starts with forcing yourself to move when you'd rather stay still. Think of discipline as planting seeds. You may not see immediate results. You may not feel dramatic change. But beneath the surface, roots are forming. Strength is developing. Character is being built. Character is what carries you through storms. And storms will come. There will be days when everything feels difficult. Those are the days discipline matters most. When emotions say quit, discipline says continue. When emotions say later, discipline says now. When emotions say it's too hard, discipline says grow stronger. That internal dialogue determines your future. So each morning when you speak the line, I will act even when I don't feel like it, you are declaring leadership over yourself. You are choosing maturity over impulse. You are choosing progress over comfort. And that choice, repeated daily, transforms average into extraordinary. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need perfect motivation. You don't need perfect feelings. You need consistent action. Do the work. Keep the promise. Take the step, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because that is where real growth begins. And that is where real success is born. There is something powerful about finishing what you start. It sounds simple, but it is rare. Many people are enthusiastic at the beginning. They are excited by new ideas, new goals, new opportunities. But excitement fades. And when excitement fades, commitment is tested. The difference between average and extraordinary is not talent. It is consistency. Anyone can start strong. Few can finish strong. When you make the decision each morning, I will finish what I start, you are declaring war on inconsistency. You are choosing endurance over impulse. You are choosing results over applause. You see, starting is emotional. Finishing is discipline. At the beginning of any journey, there is energy, there is hope, there is vision. But somewhere in the middle, there is difficulty. There is boredom. There is resistance. And most people quit in the middle. The middle is where character is formed. If you can master the middle, you can master almost anything. Consistency is not glamorous. It doesn't get attention. It doesn't make headlines, but it builds fortunes. It builds reputations. It builds trust. If people know that when you say you will do something, you will complete it, your value increases dramatically. Your word becomes powerful. And let me tell you something important. Every unfinished task drains energy. Every project left halfway consumes mental space. It whispers in the back of your mind, you didn't finish. Multiply that by months and years, and you have a life filled with frustration. But when you complete what you begin, you build confidence. Completion creates momentum. Momentum creates belief. And belief strengthens performance. Small wins matter. Finishing a book you committed to read. Completing the course you signed up for. Following through on the goal you set. These may seem small, but they train your identity. They teach you that you are someone who follows through. Identity shapes destiny. If you become the kind of person who finishes, your future expands. Employers trust you. Partners respect you. Customers rely on you. And most importantly, you trust yourself. Self-trust is priceless. Many people struggle not because they lack ability, but because they lack consistency. They chase every new idea. They jump from plan to plan. They abandon goals when progress slows. But success requires sustained effort in one direction. You don't dig 10 shallow wells and expect water. You dig one well deep enough. Depth comes from persistence. Now, consistency does not mean perfection. It means persistence. There will be days when progress is slow. There will be days when you feel behind. But the key is to keep moving. Slow progress is still progress. Stopping is the real enemy. Remember this, it is not what you do occasionally that shapes your life. It is what you do daily. Daily effort compounds. Just like money in a bank account earns interest, daily discipline earns results. One workout won't transform your body. One day of saving won't build wealth. One presentation won't build a career. but repeated effort over time changes everything. Consistency is powerful because it multiplies. And here's another truth: finishing builds resilience. When you push through difficulty instead of retreating, you strengthen your emotional muscle. The next challenge feels smaller. The next obstacle feels manageable. You begin to see yourself as capable. There will always be reasons to quit. There will always be distractions. There will always be something easier to do. But easy rarely leads to meaningful. Meaningful requires endurance. When you commit to finishing, you also learn the art of patience. Success often takes longer than expected. Results may not appear immediately, but if the foundation is strong and the effort is steady, progress is inevitable. Trust the process. Too many people quit just before the breakthrough. They stop just before momentum builds. They abandon the goal just before the results begin to show. If they had simply continued a little longer, the outcome would have changed. Time rewards consistency. 5 years of steady effort in one area can transform your entire life. 5 years of scattered effort produces little. Focus combined with persistence is unstoppable. Let me give you a simple idea. Reduce the number of goals, increase the level of commitment. Instead of starting many things, choose a few meaningful pursuits and give them your best sustained effort. Finish the book. Finish the plan. Finish the project. Finish the year strong. Completion produces satisfaction. It produces pride. It produces momentum. And momentum makes the next challenge easier. There is also something powerful about finishing for others. When you complete your responsibilities, you build trust. Trust builds opportunity. Opportunity builds growth. People look for reliable individuals. Reliability is rare. Be rare. When others slow down, keep going. When others quit, persist. When others lose focus, stay steady. That steady approach wins in the long run. Now imagine the impact of repeating this commitment every morning. I will finish what I start. Over weeks, your habits improve. Over months, your results improve. Over years, your entire life trajectory shifts. You begin to see fewer abandoned dreams and more accomplished goals. And here is the reward. Finishing strengthens your belief in your own capability. It proves that you can endure. It proves that you can persist. It proves that you are stronger than temporary emotion. Consistency transforms potential into performance. Potential means nothing without persistence. Talent means little without tenacity. Ideas mean nothing without execution. Execution is finishing. So decide that you will not be a person of half-built dreams. Decide that you will not live surrounded by unfinished intentions. Decide that when you commit, you complete. That decision alone places you ahead of the majority. Because while many start, few finish. And those who finish, win.